everybody, and welcome to Self-Help FAQ, and this is Follow-Up Friday. Today we're going to be covering core values, how to find them, and my first question is about jealousy. And what has that got to do with your values? So in the previous video this week, I had mentioned that if you are feeling uneasy around someone and their behavior, it's a possibility that one of your values is trying to make you notice what's going on, so that you can make a decision about whether you should act or not on what that behavior is doing to you or making you feel about the values. So this person wrote in and asked, they feel jealous a lot of the time over things their partner does, and they say to me, is the jealousy a sign that one of their values is being stepped on, or are they just feeling insecure because of their own issues? And we're going to talk about that now. So, jealousy is not automatically what you would call a character flaw like insecurity. It's actually your internal alert system. It could be that, signaling that maybe one of your core values is at risk. Maybe someone is overstepping or violating a boundary that you have set up. Maybe you have an agreement that's being not honored. Or it could be a threat to your emotional security, and you could be perceiving that via the jealousy. So the emotion that you're feeling itself is data. It's not a foregone conclusion. So this uneasiness often shows up first as before conscious reasoning. It could be asking you to slow down and think about what you're observing and decide whether this aligns with your own values or what you need in a relationship. So jealousy can be one of the many possible forms of uneasiness you feel. Jealousy is often linked to core values such as loyalty, exclusivity, respect, honesty, emotional safety, reliability, and transparency, to name a few. So, for example, if someone values emotional exclusivity and their partner is off flirting openly or maintains ambiguous connections, jealousy may arise because that value is being stepped on, and not just because, or not only if the person is insecure. So in this case, jealousy would be protective. It wouldn't be something that you would say would be pathological. On the other hand, jealousy cannot be counted as reliable if it is driven by things such as fear of abandonment. If you have abandonment issues that are not related to what's going on in the present, you could have like old attachment wounds that are unrelated to what's going on in the present. You could be making comparisons from you to the other person that is receiving the attention you don't want them to receive. So you project this onto the other person. You could be comparing because your self-worth might not be where it should be. And sometimes jealousy can mean you have an attempt to control what's going on rather than understand the situation. So the distinction is pretty critical, and a lot of people misunderstand this. So as you see, a lot of these situations have to do with an underlying fear, like fear of abandonment, or your self-worth could be low. So a good test is to find out which is it. Is this insecurity, or is something really going on that you have to compare with your values? So if you remove fear from the situation, this is a good test. If you remove fear from the situation, if a value remains, and then it needs naming, protecting, and discussing. But if you remove it and only if fear still remains, then the work you have to do is internal, has nothing to do with the relationship. So jealousy doesn't automatically mean something is wrong with you or the other person that you're in a relationship with. It could be that just something inside of you is asking for attention. So the mature move is not to suppress it and not to act on it, but to ask what value is being signaled and whether or not it's being respected. So yes, jealousy can be a sign that a value is being unprotected or being crossed, and it's information, not evidence. And the work is to interpret it accurately and not to dismiss it reflexively. And I want to give you steps to follow to figure out what is going on. And I'll do this as a little presentation as I talk about it. So when you're in this situation, you want to ask yourself, what am I actually feeling right now? You have to name the feeling. Are you feeling jealous, uneasy, anxious, disrespected, threatened, confused? If it's vague, don't act yet. Vague emotions and clarification, not conclusions, is what you need. Step 2, identify the trigger. What specifically triggered this feeling? A behavior I observed? A pattern that's repeating? Something that conflicts with what I was told? A boundary that feels unclear? A comparison situation? A memory from a past relationship? Make sure you stay concrete. Saying, I just feel weird, isn't really actionable. Step 3, ask the values question. If fear were removed, what value of mine still feels relevant? Is it loyalty, honesty, emotional safety, exclusivity, respect, transparency, reliability, mutual consideration, or other? If you can name a value, you can go to step 4. If you can't, then you will have to go to step 5. So I'll move on to step 4. If you can name the value. So you have value-based jealousy. This is your reality check. Is the value currently being clearly respected, inconsistently respected, dismissed or minimized, violated, or unknown, untested? So then your next action options would be clarify expectations, ask a neutral question, state or restate a boundary, observe their behavior over time, decide whether this relationship aligns with your values. So this is information, not accusation. Step 5 is your fear check, which is insecurity-based jealousy. So is your reaction tied to past betrayal, fear of abandonment, comparison to others, low self-trust, need for reassurance, or old attachment wounds? So your next action options would be self-soothing before responding, reality testing assumptions, journaling or reflection, avoiding reactive behavior, and strengthening internal security. So this is internal work, not boundary enforcement. Step 6 is your final decision question. What requires attention right now? Do you need to have a conversation, set a boundary, do more observation, do some internal regulation, do some letting go, or do nothing, no action yet? Okay, so I hope that little 6-step system helps you see that just because you might be jealous about something doesn't mean that it's a character flaw, but rather you have to think about whether a value of yours is being crossed or stepped on? Or are you reacting from past experiences? Make that distinction, and then you'll know how to act going forward. So I just want to continue on with the today's follow-up Friday. As we had talked about before, we were talking about values and how to find your core values, how to discover what really matters to you. But in today's video, I don't want you to try to nail down all your core values. That's quite a long exercise to complete all in one. It's not really necessary to do that all at once. So I'm not going to ask you to define all your values. I'm not going to give you a long list to choose from. Instead, I want you to identify one core value in real time using something you're probably already experiencing, which could even be jealousy. So one reason people find it hard to name all their values is because if you're looking at lists, it seems pretty abstract, like words like integrity, freedom, authenticity. So it's just so abstract, and finding lists like in a book or in Google, that's all well and good, but it's very abstract and it's not very helpful in the moment. And so your values really don't show up as words first. They show up as friction, feelings, negative feelings, discomfort, irritation, the sense that something feels off, as I talked about in the earlier video this week. It often feels like a value is being violated or neglected. So once you're experiencing that kind of negative feeling, here's how you can translate it into a value. You don't want to say, I want this or I want that. For example, I want people to respect me. Put it into these words. Use the word value. I value being treated with respect. I value having agency over my time. I value emotional honesty. I value stability. I value freedom from chaos. Don't we all on that one? So you don't have to be perfect with the wording. If it makes you feel calmer to name it, you're on the right track. So instead of trying to think of words first as your values, I want you to instead think about a recent situation where you felt drained, maybe resentful, maybe you felt stuck or conflicted, or you keep replaying the same situation afterward over and over. And now you have to ask yourself, not why did this happen, but what did this situation ask me to give up? Was it your time, your peace, your honesty, maybe your autonomy, your sense of fairness, maybe? Whatever you felt pressured to sacrifice, well, that points directly to a value. Values are what you resist losing. So a lot of people will feel like they have to make a full list of values before they can make better decisions. But you don't. You really only need one clearly defined value to change how decisions feel to you. Because the next time that you're stuck, you can ask, which option protects this value and which option erodes it? What am I being asked to trade here? So this way it reduces second guessing. So that's a good place to stop on learning about how to narrow down what your values are. So I'm going to give you a journal question now. And what today's question will be is, what recent situation drained me and what value did it ask me to sacrifice? So when did you feel drained and what did you feel like you were being asked to give up? So you're not solving the situation, you're identifying the value, and that's really enough work for today. So your values don't make your situations painless or your decisions painless, but they do give them some clarity. And clarity is what quits the second guessing. So that's it for today. I hope you got some value out of the jealousy steps, learning between what's a value-based uncomfortable jealousy or your past trauma, maybe jealousy. And then we talked about how to maybe nail down one core value based on a recent situation and how it made you feel, what it made you feel like giving up. And so then you know what you value, what you want people to do, what you value people do for you, and don't overstep the boundaries. Thanks for listening in. Let me know in the comments if you have some ideas on what we talked about today. If you got problems with jealousy or people overstepping certain boundaries of yours, trying to nail down what value that boundary is built for. Thanks a lot for listening and stopping by. And we'll see you next week for video number 3 in our boundary series. Hope you have a great rest of the day, and bye for now.